All right, well, welcome everybody to the session. We are having a great day with this conference so far, the Level Me Up conference. If you didn't get a chance to see the previous sessions, eventually we will be putting those online in some capacity. So feel free to check that out at levelmeupnow.com. And also the future sessions coming up for the rest of the afternoon will be on there as well. But the only session that matters right now is this one with Marty Weatherall, the co-founder and CEO of League OS. Marty is not only an exceptional guy, but he's also dabbled in a lot of stuff. I was reading your bio, you're like, oh, just produce some Super Bowl commercials, not a big deal. Oh, just, pioneered this, did that. You're just sort of like, you're dabbling in everything. But right now, his latest venture is League OS, which not only is a platform for, tournament management and all sorts of great things with the organization and oversight of some esports tournaments, but also this great new like matchmaking service to try to find homes for high school students to find their collegiate match in the esports realm. So, Marty, we're so happy to have you here today, and we can't wait to hear your presentation.
Thank you, Josh. I'm honored to be here. Appreciate the invite. And yeah, I'm here to talk about perfecting your profile and maximizing your online presence for collegiate esports recruitment. So, how am I qualified to talk about that? Well, you set me up a little bit, but here I am, Marty Weatherall. I'm Marty McFlyin on Discord, MCW719 on X and all the other socials. I'm the co-founder and CEO of League OS, which can be found at leagueos.gg. And we'll talk more about what that is. I actually have if we're talking about college and stuff, I thought I'd, share where I went to college and what I studied a million years ago. But I have a Bachelor of Arts in Film Production from the University of Southern California. I'm coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota right now, which is where I'm from originally and where I'm based. But I did go out to Los Angeles for college at the University of Southern California, and I studied filmmaking. That led to me working in advertising for many years, and I did produce a number of Super Bowl commercials, including one that the young people here probably won't remember, but it does get referenced quite a bit. It was for a company that no longer exists called EDS, and it's called Cat Herders, and it's literally a bunch of cowboys herding cats across the plains. And you probably heard that expression, but we actually brought that to life in a 60-second Super Bowl commercial back in about 2000, before any kids that are looking to play esports in college were born. But I did also get involved in startups during my advertising days, and I pioneered putting mobile fan photos on jumbotrons at ball games. So literally, when phones were first getting cameras at ball games, I thought, why can't we send the pictures from our phones up to the jumbotron so everybody can see it? Kind of a user-generated fan cam. So a company called Fan Chatter that I founded, we pioneered that. And then we got into, of all things, drone racing. I got into drone racing with my co-founder, Joel, and we have built the system of record for international drone racing, including the 2023 and 2024 World Championships. So if you've never seen drone racing, it's very cool, but that's what we got together around, this brand new sport of drone racing, and we built software to run drone races, and it's become the system of record for international drone racing. And in doing so, we also co-founded the top STEM drone racing league for students, K through 12 and college. Well, what does that look like? Here's a couple of drone racing pilots right here. The one on the left is Chris Spangler, who actually raced in the drone racing league on TV. If you've seen drone racing on TV, you may recognize him. There he's flying one of our little indoor racing drones, which is what we race most of all, wearing his goggles and seeing what the drone sees. And then on the right is one of our students, pilot named Happy, and that's a little drone floating in the air as well. And as you can see, they're wearing goggles, they're seeing through a camera on the drones. It's very cool. It's a very complicated sport to run, however. So how did we end up in esports from drone racing? Well, let's look at what League OS is. It's next generation competition management software, and it's now organizing tens of thousands of profiles into nearly 1 million matches. It's pretty basic when you're talking about competition management. You've got profiles, whether those are individual profiles or team profiles made up of individual profiles. And then you want to put those profiles together in matches. Well, that's what our software does. That's what LeagueOS does. And that includes everything from signups, scheduling, scoring, stats, seasons. So if you want to do a season, not just like a one-off tournament, you can do that. Streaming, which we'll talk about in a second, and more. Anything that you need to manage a competition, we handle that. And we are now focused on esports because there are more people playing video games in America than all other sports combined, which is crazy when you think about it, but it's actually true. If you add soccer, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, tennis, even pickleball growing out of control, you put all the people that play all those sports all together, and it does not equal the number of Americans that play video games. And then if you look at young people, Generation Z and Alpha, 90% identify as gamers. I don't think this is surprising if you just look around, but it is interesting to actually look at the numbers and see what that means. And so we have taken our competition management software that began in drone racing, very complicated, and where we became the system of record for international drone racing, including the world championships. And now we've brought that to esports. The reason we were invited into esports was, well, in part because we had made some really good competition management software, but it had something that nobody else had. And I mentioned streaming on this slide. Well, our competition management software actually generates graphics and overlays for your live streams, so you don't have to create those separately. So here's an example of what that looks like. Here's a match. It's a Rocket League match, but those team logos and all the player logos below are actually coming out of our system. When players sign up to play and they customize their profile and they put a custom profile image, and then they form a team and they come up with an image for their team. Well, we take all that from our system and we create graphics and overlays. So you don't have to do that separately. And it makes all that streaming production stuff way easier. And not only a match screen like this, but here's an overlay, custom scoreboard overlay and sidebar, and even a ticker at the bottom for Rocket League, where you're seeing the names of the teams. You're also seeing where they are in their series, the best of 5 series. You can see that these two teams are actually tied 2-2, and they're in game 5 right now. So all the context and things that you need when you're actually trying to present esports in the world, we deliver all of that out of our system. And if you are on LeagueOS already and you're wondering where you can get this stuff, here's an example of a LeagueOS match page. So you can see this is a Valorant match page from the Iowa High School Esports Association, actually. And maybe some of these players are watching right now, but you can see that East High took down Burlington. You can see all the stats that we gather as well. So we're very stat centric, which will come in handy for what I'm about to talk about. You can even see individual stats down below, kills, deaths, assists, etc., for the individual players. But if you look over on the right on our match page and you go to resources, that area right there, you can see that right on the match page, you can grab the match overlay. You can grab that match card like we looked at. If this were part of a tournament, you could grab the bracket and not have to build a bracket for your stream. You can just grab it. And all the other things like team logos and team colors are all right there. So if you're playing the other team and you don't want to go hunting around for their logo, it's right there on the match page. So that's what people really wanted from us when we were asked into esports, was all this stuff. So that's what has given us a chance to grow very quickly. And we have started in schools. I mentioned that we started a youth drone racing league. Well, esports are strongest in schools right now. If you've been listening to some of the earlier presenters today, you've been hearing some of the same things, because in the pro scene, it's a little uncertain. But where esports are very strong are in schools. By our count, over 700 colleges are funding esports programs. And a big reason for that is to boost enrollment. Now, how do we contextualize that number of over 700? Well, I counted up the number of colleges that are in the NCAA or the NAIA or the National Junior College Athletic Association. And there's actually over 1,800 of those. So that's about 40%. This is approximate, but about 40% of the colleges that are competing in something in the US, right? In the NCAA or NAIA, which is Division II, or the NJCAA, which is junior college, about 40% are operating and funding esports programs now. So there's still a lot more to go, right? Um, and what is really particularly strong about esports in school and gives it a really good base to push off from is that you have a built-in fan base. You got students, families, alumni. Think about alumni. Like if I went to USC and I know the USC esports team, and if USC is playing UCLA in anything, I'm there, right? We got to take down those Bruins. So you've got all this built-in affinity when you have a school that is bringing a team to the fore, right? And bringing a team into competition. You tap into all this fan interest right from the beginning. And then, as we've talked about in other sessions earlier today, there are scholarships and career paths for esports players, but also casters, community managers, and more. So why are we talking about presenting yourself to college recruiters? Well, there's a lot to be had. I think it was, I got to make sure I get the number right, but Michael from NACE was talking earlier. I think it was $27 million. I hope I got that right. I wrote it down. But the dollar value of scholarships being given out for esports in the US is millions and millions of dollars. And that's money that you could have as a gamer, right? If you're a gamer and you're playing for your high school team or you're playing for your junior college team and you're looking to see if you can level up, well, this is an opportunity and there's money to be had, maybe to go to a school that you couldn't get into otherwise, or you wouldn't even have thought to go to otherwise. So esports are strongest in schools. That's where League OS has begun. Last year, we started with 4 state high school leagues, and now we're in all 50 states. We're powering 2/3 of the active college and high school esports programs in the country. That's 55,000 active users playing weekly. It's not just the US, it's 4 provinces in Canada, it's Puerto Rico. And we're working with these big collegiate conferences, including the Big Ten schools, the SEC schools, the NECC, which is one of the largest collegiate esports conferences, and then the NJCAA esports, the NJCAA, which is all the 2-year schools and their esports programs. So League OS has built quite a strong foundation of leagues in schools that we are operating, and we have a lot of teams and a lot of players. And we saw a real opportunity from that to connect those worlds better than they'd been connected before. And that is what we have turned into LOS Portal, powering your esports journey. This is actually a recruiting platform for collegiate esports. Well, has there ever been such a thing? How many collegiate esports recruiting programs are there? Well, there aren't many. Okay. There's one called Stay Plugged In. They've been around for a little while, and they actually, you can sign up for Stay Plugged In as a student. You can sign up as a college, and you create profiles. I believe there's some free ways to do it, and then there's some different pay tiers on both sides for that. And then they actually run showcase events so that those players can play and the recruiters can see them play, and they can get some insight into how well they play beyond just whatever they put in their profile. Then there's the NCSA, which is Next College Student Athlete. Now, that is a general recruiting site for all kinds of sports, all the sports that you know, the traditional sports played in college. The NCSA also added esports to that mix. And then there's us at LOS portal from LeagueOS. But I got some breaking news. If you haven't heard, this is not a big slide with a lot of names on it. Okay, there aren't many options out there for this. And the NCSA just dropped esports. I haven't gotten a good answer why. I've been reaching out. I'm hoping that those people will learn about what we're doing at LOS Portal. But unfortunately, if you were using NCSA, which actually was charging students, it was not charging coaches, but it was charging students to create a profile. But they have decided for whatever reason that they are no longer going to participate on the esports side. So that leaves Stay Plugged In and LOS Portal. I will tell you why we are keen on what we're doing with LOS Portal. And here's an example of what we've built and how it's being used. This is from a senior in Springfield, Illinois, who plays on the Overwatch team. And I'm going to play this video. I hope the audio works. And this is just a reaction to what we've launched just this school year with LOS Portal. And you'll see what it means to this student in Illinois.
I'm Jackson Wirtz. I am president and double captain of the Springfield Capitals. When I first heard about the LOS portal, when I first got the email about it, I went straight to my email. The first day it was out, I did it because I really like the idea of being able to kind of go in and have a big list of just every college that had an esports program, what games they're able to play, and more information like tuition and enrollment and stuff like that. Because there wasn't ever really a place where all of that can be found in one space. You had to dig around, and sometimes even then you wouldn't even be able to find it. So having it all in one centralized location with my and while being able to use my LeagueOS account I already had was just really helpful. And I saved all the colleges I had already applied to and got to see all the games they played and everything. It was insanely helpful. The issue was I'd kind of already made up my mind about what schools I was going to, but I was able to see schools that I didn't know, because I saw that all the Big Ten schools that I watched teams, half of them were on there. I didn't even know had esports programs at all, and they looked like they had a full-fledged, like they had a special logo and everything. So that was interesting to see. I also got to see a few different schools. Other ones I hadn't applied to, like one messaged me today. I saw one mark that they were interested in me. There was a lot. It was really streamlined having one area. They could just kind of click different tabs and see it.
All right, so I hope that audio works. And it was really nice of Jackson to share his thoughts on what we built. And you can scan this QR code if you'd like at any point and check it out on your phone. It is mobile friendly because we know that most kids are on their phones. But as Jackson showed, we have delivered a searchable listing of hundreds and hundreds, actually over 600 college esports programs are now available to search. And he was searching for what they played, what region they're in. He could even look up what major degree programs they offered. I'll show that to you guys in a second, but that is just the beginning of what we've done with the portal. And I'm going to jump over to it right now. And here it is at portal.leagueos.gg. This video at the top is the same video that we just watched, but I'm going to scroll and just show you all the things that are a part of this solution, which again, there aren't that many. But what is unique about ours is that we are running the esports leagues and seasons on our LeagueOS software in all 50 states, right? We're running it in the largest of collegiate esports conferences and leagues, and we're running it in all the high schools scattered or in different states around the country. So that means we already have a large user base and a number of colleges already in our system. And they're not only already in our system, but we know when they're playing and we know how they're performing. We know if they won, they lost. We are the system of record. So on top of that, we've built a recruiting solution. So how do we have 600 college programs already in the system? Well, they're already playing on League OS. So you can search college programs, and we are inviting college directors, coaches, and recruiters to discover prospects in League OS as well in the portal, because we're running the regular seasons for the high school kids and for the junior colleges. So if a recruiter for the first time wants to see how a student, not only what's their rank and what school they go to, but how are they doing in their season? What are their stats, like the stats we saw earlier? Well, we are making all that available for the first time because, again, we're doing this on top of being the competition management system that the leagues are using. And there's actually well over 20,000 student prospects. I think we're approaching 30,000 student prospects in the system already. But recruiters have to request access for this. Not just anybody can search for students. Anybody can search for the college programs. And I'll show you what that looks like. But we are very careful about the student data. This is a complete list of our safety protocols. And I will just say very simply that only verified college recruiters with confirmed roles at official esports programs can subscribe for access to the portal. Every college recruiter has to actually pass a background check of ours before they can have access to any student data. Then they have to sign in with a special pass key, which is a new, more enhanced version of a password, because passwords can get lost, they can get compromised. Somebody might, look over your shoulder, but nobody can get in if you have pass key protected access. So we are making sure that not only are these verified college recruiters that have gone through background checks, but we're making sure it's them that are seeing the student data, because we came up on the high school side, because we started last school year with 4 state high school leagues and we've multiplied it from there. We have been talking a lot with the high school side and how to do this right. And so very careful about student data. League OS has always been very careful about student data. We're the only site where there are no cookie alerts when you come. You'll notice that. Every other site, it seems like they're telling you about all the cookies they're trying to drop. We do not do that. So we've been very careful about all this. And then on top of that, even though all the students are in the system, they can opt out, and no one will see their personal information unless they opt in to saying that they are looking for team. So that is an important thing that we'll talk about in terms of making yourself presentable. And then we have on-platform messaging, but if a recruiter is reaching out to a student with a message, they can write that message, but it's going to be reviewed by our team as well. Being very careful about all of this. And again, students can opt out if they like, and they can end a connection anytime they want. Now, once you do get into the system, whether you are a college recruiter or you are a prospect, you can search and you can bookmark. You can create your own lists of what you're interested in, and you can reach out for more information. You can even send messages. A student can initiate a message with a college if they're interested. So that's what we're offering, is all in one platform, so messages aren't scattered out through texts and Discord DMs and all the ways that it's been done. We can consolidate all that into one place. You can manage your connections there. You can actually write notes about who you've bookmarked. You can keep notes for yourself. You can move people around in your list, put the most important ones up top. And then we have safe free-form messaging. We know from college recruiters that they don't want to be boxed into canned messages, even though those are safe, but they're really impersonal. And so we allow the college recruiters to write their own introductory messages, but we're just making sure before anything goes out to a student for the first time proactively on the recruiter side, that we've reviewed it and it's appropriate. So that's important. And the high school coaches are in our system as well. So they are included in messaging because it's really helpful to have a high school coach involved in the recruiting process. And the high school coaches, again, already in our system because they're already managing their teams. So we're doing this in all of these ways, and we're uniquely suited to do that in all these ways. And I've learned a lot personally about the recruiting scene in talking to a lot of college recruiters. So let's just jump into this college search that we looked at with Jackson earlier. So we've got a bunch of schools that pop up automatically. And even here's Dickinson State down here in the featured section. Unfortunately, no programs are interested in me, and that's very appropriate. I am not a great player of any of these games. I'm much better. You throw me on a field or something, I can do much better than any of these games. That's my confession to you today. But so no one's interested in me, but if they were, they would be listed here on the page while I'm logged in. And then I can click on any of these profiles that are automatically presented and I can see their full profile. Here's Dickinson State, our hosts for this event today. They've got a nice paragraph about their program. They've got a list of their games played. Now we pull that in from all of the data from the leagues that they're playing on LeagueOS, but they can add more because they have control of their profile. They've got a nice slideshow of their facilities. If anybody from Dickinson is watching, you should see some familiar sites from those facilities pictures. They're able to list the scholarships they have available. So notice that they have scholarships for players, but also shoutcasters. They have academic scholarships. They have a scholarship for social media manager, broadcast producer, event organizer, game manager, all these different roles coming out of esports. And Dickinson State is able to explain in their profile all these things that they are offering, all these real money scholarships that you can apply for, you can go after if you reach out to Dickinson State. There's tuition information. There's a searchable listing of degree programs. And notice that there's one showing already, entrepreneurial and small business operations. Well, on my profile, I went ahead and indicated what degree programs I was interested in. And now when I open up the Dickinson State profile, it's automatically showing me that there's a match. There's a match for one of my degree programs. They also have it at Dickinson, and they're showing me that, so I don't have to go searching. And then there's actually a link to apply right here from this profile. So we have a number of other colleges that are in the system. Here's Rockford. They wrote a lot. They've got a bulletin board. I'll show you another example of the bulletin board. Also in North Dakota, we have Minot State. And on their bulletin board, this is interesting. They've got 3 spots available for their League of Legends team. And they are specifically, oh, somebody's trying to call me. 1 second. Sorry about that. Notice that they're looking for a top laner that's silver or above, preferably gold or above. They're looking for a jungler and they're looking for support. Silver and above, but looks like pretty much gold and above across the board. But I can come to Minot's profile and see exactly where I might fit in based on the ranks they're looking for. Looking for some Rocket League players, gold and up. Smash players, no minimum for Smash. So there's an opportunity if you're interested in going to Minot and you like what you see, you can raise your hand to play Smash. And even if you don't have a great rank, you could still have an opportunity to play there. And they've filled out more of their information as well. But unfortunately, none of my degree programs are available at Minot. But entrepreneurial studies is at Dickinson. I score 1 for Dickinson there. Now, the other thing I can do is I can search for any program by name. So I'm going to search for my school. Here's the University of Southern California. Now notice this profile is not as filled out. This is our default profile. So we have over 600 colleges in the system, but only around 45 or so are customized. The rest are default, but we still have location, we have enrollment, and we have games played. Now, the games played list is based on what they're playing on our system. They might play some other games in some other leagues, and we may miss those, but we are giving every college a chance to come in and confirm this information. We also have tuition, pretty steep. Oh, and look at that, film and video and photographic arts. Yes, I did go to the USC Film School, and our information is correct. I'm proud to say that they indeed have a film and video program, and I'm a proud graduate of it. But this is an example of a default profile. So you can search for a college by name like that. You can also go into these filters, and let's pick Valorant. And I can put a minimum GPA if I want. Let's pick film and video. And then let's put North Dakota, since we're talking about North Dakota. I don't know how many film programs are in North Dakota. None available. I'll take the film and video off. Oh, you know what? It's Southern California. That's the problem. All right. And these are the colleges in North Dakota that are in our system. Minot, Dickinson, we already looked at. Bismarck State, default profile. North Dakota State, default profile. University of North Dakota needs a little boost to their profile. They don't have all of the default information. So this is all available. And notice that at the top of this, it's asking me to select my status, looking for team, committed, not seeking. And it's telling me that my profile progress is 89% complete. That's helpful. If I go into, let's go into my Manage tab. This is, oops. Sorry, that was another look. I'm gonna switch to Prospect View. Okay, now that I'm in Prospect View, and I'm gonna go back to Dickinson, I'm gonna bookmark Dickinson. And if I go into Manage, here's a bunch of colleges that I have bookmarked. And there's Dickinson on the second page. And this is where I can manage, and I can even reach out and type a message to Dickinson while referencing their profile over on the side. If I go back to programs and I click complete my profile, here is some pretty basic profile management stuff, but this is where we're going to get to the real meat of today's presentation. What information, how do you present yourself to recruiters? Now, if you are a student and you're playing in a league that's already on LeagueOS, then you already have a LeagueOS account. You have likely already connected your game accounts to your LeagueOS account so that you can have your stats automatically coming in. And you already have access to the portal. If you just go to portal.leagueos.gg, you can log in and you can go to your settings and you can start to manage your prospect settings. If you do not play on a league that's on LeagueOS already, it's very easy to go to portal.leagueos.gg and create an account and start to build your prospect profile. And here's what you see: some personal information. I can put religion if that's relevant to what I'm looking for. Yes, my high school graduation year was a million years ago. I've got my degrees of interest here. I can put states of interest where I'm interested in going. You may not want to box yourself in too much, but if you're really interested in going to certain states, especially ones that maybe aren't obvious, you could put that in there. You can put what team roles that you are involved in. So I have player and broadcast. Obviously, I like to talk a lot. And then my classification is as a scholastic student. I'm not a scholastic. I'm not in high school anymore, but that's an initial list. And then in my profile, I can set my status, looking for team, committed, or not seeking. And I can also opt out here. I can opt out completely. If I do not want to be a part of any of this, we give you that option. But if you do want to be found, and if you are looking for opportunities to play at the next level, it is important to set looking for team. And I'm going to show you exactly why. I can put some bio information here. I can personalize myself a little bit. And then back to my prospect information. So here's where you can set everything up. Now for recruiters, I mentioned verified college recruiters can explore profiles, stats, ranks, and more. Student profiles can look a lot like the program profiles that we saw. You can customize them. But I'll go back to my slides. If you do not mark yourself as looking for team, this is how you'll appear. I mentioned we're very careful about student data. So if a student is already playing in one of our state leagues, for instance, the Nebraska Schools Esports Association, here's a student. They play Valorant and Overwatch. They're a silver 1 in Valorant, right? We're bringing in their rank from Valorant because they've connected their Valorant account. They're graduating this year. They're a senior. But I do not know their name. I do not know their player name. I just know they play in Nebraska and they play Valorant and Overwatch, and they're a silver 1 in Valorant. Now, a recruiter could still bookmark this prospect and click request information if they want to actually nudge them to fill out more information. This student may not even know yet about the portal. We are letting everybody know, but they may not know it yet. But because they have not marked themselves as looking for team, we are obscuring all this information. If you mark yourself looking for team, then your name does appear. And we bring in a lot more information, including your recent matches. We can bring in what you did in your last match, and we can bring in what you're doing in your upcoming match if your league is on League OS. So we're really excited because putting the recruiting in tandem with the league management allows us to bring in all this really relevant data that recruiters haven't seen before. But in order to have all that come to life, you got to mark yourself looking for team. Okay, I'm not going to dive into what the college recruiters see beyond that, but they can search for students using a number of parameters. They can search by grad year range. They can search by games played. They can search by roles like shoutcasting. If they're looking specifically to fill a shoutcasting scholarship, they can look for all those things. That's brand new. That's really never been available before, a way to actually match with some of these other roles that there are scholarships for. The recruiting scene up until now has been very player centric, but I want to make it clear that if you have interests outside of just playing, you now have a way to actively set yourself up for those and to connect with opportunities for those. But I did ask our college recruiters that are in League OS, that are in the portal, what are their most important things that they're looking for from prospects? And so how do you set yourself up? What are the basics that you need to set yourself up to be found effectively in a system like the portal or any of the recruiting systems that you find out there? It was remarkable. The answers were very consistent. As I asked, everybody came back with the same thing. And here's the list. Are you ready? I'm going to go into slideshow. What recruiters want? Grad year. All right. That just helps them know where you are in the process. Are you still in high school? Is your grad year in the past? I do understand that there are some students, especially in junior college, that may have gotten their GED or gotten to junior college another way. So we are looking to address that in our system. But by and large, some indication of how far along you are in your progression is very helpful. It's just a key piece of information that recruiters want. So if you are creating an account in LOS Portal, make sure you set your grad year, wherever it is in the future or in the past. Updated GPA. GPA is a big deal in academic sports. Now, when we started out, we didn't require that students in any of our leagues that are playing on League OS put their GPA in, even though there's GPA requirements in a lot of leagues. So we are moving in that direction. But in your portal profile, make sure you have your GPA and an updated GPA, the latest. Now, recruiters will understand that you've got time to raise that GPA, especially if you're a younger student in high school. But it's important to have that in there so they can at least have that for context. Intended major. It really helps for them to know what you're interested in studying. Now, I know a lot of students don't know that, and that's okay. But even if you just put some, for instance, you can put as many as you want in the portal. You could put everything from pre-med to restaurant management. Maybe you're interested in all those things, but just put something in there to begin to let the recruiters know what your interests are, because it really helps them if they offer programs and they can start a conversation about that. So grad year, updated GPA, intended major, and here's the fourth and big one: public game profile for your games played. Okay, so you've got an account for the games that you play, and you can set your profile on those game accounts public, or you can leave it private. If you leave it private, it makes it a lot harder to be found. It's pretty easy just to set it public. It helps us at the portal bring that information in. You'll notice there was some information that we didn't have. We didn't have the Overwatch rank, right? Public game profile was likely not set to public. So that's a key piece that you may not know if you haven't been talking about college esports recruiting day in and day out like me, but that's a big one. So this is what recruiters universally want. Now, there's other things like, what other roles do you have that you participate in, like social media or game management, things like that. Those things haven't been available until very recently. So it's not in the top 4 answers yet, but I do recommend that you take advantage of all the things that you can fill out in your LOS portal profile as a way of presenting yourself to recruiters. But these are the ones we make sure, and we foreground them in the system as you're onboarding. But make sure that wherever you present yourself, that this is what you're presenting. But then I had another recruiter that actually gave me a different collection of answers, and these were interesting, and I want to share those as well. What does this recruiter want? They want to see academic motivation. A specific program or degree of interest doesn't necessarily matter, but they need to be motivated to go to college. So how can you show in the way that you present yourself? We give you a chance to write an introductory paragraph on your profile in LOS Portal. How can you present yourself in a way that demonstrates that you are academically motivated? That is really important, because it's not just the recruiter looking to fill a roster spot. It's the whole institution that is checking you out. And they want to populate their campuses with students that show drive and a desire to succeed academically. And are you motivated to do that? So use the tools at your disposal to figure out a way to do that. Next, humility and coachability, being able to recognize faults and accept feedback. Now, this is coming from a coach, right? And coaches like to coach. But, there's not a lot of coaching out there in the high school space. It's a pretty early time for esports, right? So you may not have had a chance to be coached that much wherever you've played before. But the college coaches, they're professionals. They're professional coaches, and they are looking to develop players. So how coachable are you? And how responsive to feedback are you? Demonstrating that you are open to that will help. It'll help you find opportunities. Now, everybody's different, and you might be very confident, but this is something that is important to point out. If you can demonstrate through your profile and through your communications with coaches that you can take their coaching and apply it, and you understand that you've got room to grow, that's a big deal. And interest in community engagement, okay? Now, you can play video games all day long by yourself, but college programs are about teams. Even if you're playing an individual game like Smash, you're still part of a team. This isn't a solo endeavor. So what kind of a teammate are you? What's really great about esports in schools is that it gives kids a chance to be on teams that may not have been on teams before. Maybe you didn't play traditional sports, but now you got to work together as a team. You have a chance to become a leader on a team. And you can demonstrate how you act as a teammate, how you support your teammates. Are you in it to be a part of a community? Because that's really what these programs offer. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's about the relationships you build. And what a great way to do that in school, in high school, and then at college, especially in college, because if you can be involved in something at your college, something that's official, like the esports program, that has a schedule, that keeps you ingrained in the fabric of what's happening on that campus. And it's really a special experience. So can you really be a part of that? How can you demonstrate that you are there to be a part of a team and you can engage with the community that you find through an esports program? So I really liked this. So I'm just going to go back. Here's the top line stuff, right? Grad year, updated GPA, intended major. I should have put majors because, again, you don't have to know yet, but give them something to work with, even if it's a wide range. And then public game profile on games played. And then these softer skills here: academic motivation, humility, coachability, and interest in community engagement and being part of a team. I'm checking the clock. I see Josh coming in here. Portal.legos.gg is where you can do this with us. There's also Stay Plugged In. It looks like NCSA has stopped esports, but we are big believers in it. And we know there's opportunities here to be had, especially from Josh, as we saw on the Dickinson State profile. So check his profile out. Are there questions, Josh? I want to make sure I leave time for that.
Well, we've got only a couple minutes left, so I don't see any immediate questions. I guess overall, I really appreciate the presentation. For anyone watching, if you're a high school coach or counselor and you're trying to get your high school students engaged in this process to sort of prepare for college, or if you're a high school student or a parent of a high school student, the more information that you can provide to Marty, it helps you, help him, help me, help you. And so it's this like chain of information gathering. If we have the information, we can try to find the best fit for you. My hope is always that it's going to be Dickinson State. And that's the one complaint I have about League OS is there's all these other pesky universities and colleges like listed, it's not just us. But if you have a high GPA and you're a great player, you're going to be really sought after. And you're going to have the information and people fighting over. But let's say that, you're a student with a low GPA, but you play for multiple teams, or you're looking at a position to broadcast, you might have a different need that needs to be fulfilled, and you might have universities that can meet that need because of X, Y, or Z, or because you were in a residency state rate, or because they have a certain scholarship that meets your niche. And so the more information you complete on a system like LeagueOS, or the system LeagueOS, because it's kind of like the one, it's going to help you in the long run. So yeah, so
there is one question, Josh. I want to make sure I just target it.
oh, there it is. I just saw it pop in.
Yep. So do high school coaches sign up for the account the same way as a student does? Yes. You can go in now. It's going to ask you for your grad year, and just make sure you don't mark looking for team if you're not an active prospect. You can also just go to leagueos.gg and create an account. But definitely reach out to me. You can email me. My email is right here on the screen, and happy to talk to you from the standpoint of a high school coach. And we are working with high school coaches that aren't already on LeagueOS to help their students all get in here and become searchable and findable.
Yeah, and I'll say this: even though the process is in depth, so that there is student protection there, Marty at least held my hand the whole way. So you always have assistance from LeagueOS to get into their system. And I have been involved with a lot of different, I do tech stuff, in my full-time job. And, every system that I'm involved with, it seems like when you provide feedback to them, it's just like they hear it, but they don't listen. And so I know that Marty actually listens, and that's why he's always doing these survey data. So whenever he comes up with a slide that says, I asked people about this, I know that he did, and he takes that to heart. So Marty, thank you so much for being here. Such a great system that you have here. And I'm so glad that you were able to help some of these high school students learn about what they should be providing so that they can be marketable to colleges. If you're looking for the next session, go to levelmeupnow.com, and it will be starting in about 10 minutes. All right, thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks, everybody.